So the brothers here at IslamBradford, they requested from me to talk about the importance of ad-dawah ilallah and the responsibility of ad-dawah ilallah on the community and on each and every individual, because some people are under the false understanding that ad-dawah ilallah is the responsibility of only the people who are like known du'at. They are engaging in dawah. And that's not the case. Ad-dawah is the responsibility of every individual here. And we're going to be questioned about what did we do. Every father here is giving dawah. Every mother is giving dawah. Everyone who has a neighbor is giving dawah. Everyone who is making ihtikak and mixing with non-Muslims and Muslims alike, we're giving dawah to Allah. I just came from Ireland today, and I was there in a very far off, remote area. All white people were there. They don't know the hijab. And when they saw my wife and the way she was dressed with niqab and everything like that, that's a dawah to Allah. Some of those people, because they have some connection to their religion, whenever they would see my wife or pass by my wife, they would do like this. So I asked someone, I'm seeing these people doing the cross. What is that? He said it's a wish for them. When they pass a nun, they do like that, and it means that they're making a wish. So when they saw that type of dress, they felt it was a religious dress. So as a result of that, they would do that. So that's dawah to Allah. If she had tight pants on, may Allah protect us from that. If she didn't wear hijab, if she had makeup on, and things like that, then that's dawah to Allah as well in the opposite direction. So the point here is everybody is giving dawah to Allah in some shape, form, or fashion. And we're going to be responsible for that. We have many wajibat, many things that are wajib. Some more important than others. But one of the awjab al-wajibat, one of the most significant, important, and weightiest wajib issues is a dawah to Allah. And that's established in the Qur'an, and it's established by the Sunnah. Everybody here, Allah has blessed us with a lot of favors. وَإِن تَعُدُّوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ لَا تُحْصُوهَا. You won't be able to count the favors that Allah gave everybody here. Even the one who was sick, the one who was struggling with financial difficulties, nonetheless, you still have innumerable ni'am that Allah bestowed upon you. And the greatest single ni'mah, the greatest single one, it's above your eyesight, it's above your wealth, it's above the children, it's above everything, good health. The greatest single ni'mah is you're a Muslim. However you became a Muslim. For those of you who are born in Islam and raised in Islam, that goes to show the significant role that your parents play in your life and why the mother and the father have such an honored position, because had you been born to non-Muslim parents and it was up to you to come back to this religion, maybe you wouldn't have ever done it. But because your parents gifted al-Islam to you, they made it easy for you. So you have to always remember the huquq al-walidain. Ala kullin, Allah Azza wa Jal mentioned in the Quran to prove this point for those who don't know, or for the one who wants the proof of that al-Islam is the greatest ni'mah. He mentioned in the Quran, Al-yawma akmaltu lakum deenakum wa atmamtu alaykum ni'mati wa raditu lakum al-Islam ad-deena. Today, I have completed my favor upon you, and I have chosen for you al-Islam. The itmam of the religion is the greatest favor that Allah bestowed upon an individual. And every ni'mah, we're going to be questioned about it Yawm al-Qiyamah. ثُمَّ لَتُسْأَلُنَّ يَوْمَئِذٍ عَنِ النَّعِيمِ. Islam is a ni'mah. The other ayah said, and then Yawm al-Qiyamah, you're going to be asked about the na'im. The rice we throw away, the food we waste, we're going to be asked about that. We're going to be asked about every ni'mah. So the point here is, you're going to be held, all of us, accountable to the ni'mah of al-Islam. What did you do about it? What did you do with it? Now, when I say that al-Islam is everybody's responsibility to spread this message and to share the ni'mah, I don't mean by that you have to give the khutbah on Friday, or you are the one who has to give the khutbah on the day of the Eid, or that you have to be a teacher in the masjid. I'm not saying that. You have to give dawah based upon your capabilities and your abilities and within your capacity. The bus driver in this masjid is a da'i ila Allah. The way he deals with people who get on the bus and off the bus. Everybody is a da'i ila Allah. Everybody. So Allah Azza wa Jal has described this ummah with many, many characteristics. One of those characteristics is his statement in the Qur'an, كُنْتُمْ خَيْرَ أُمَّةٍ أُخْرِجَتْ لِلنَّاسِ تَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَتَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ وَتُؤْمِنُونَ بِاللَّهِ. You people, this ummah, this overall body and community of Muslims, all of you, collectively, this ummah, you are the best people that have been brought forth for everybody else. And why is that? That's because you do three things that I mentioned in this ayat. You make al-amru bil-ma'roof ad-da'wah. You make al-nahi an al-munkar ad-da'wah. And you believe in Allah. Al-Imam Ibn Kathir, rahimahullah ta'ala, concerning the tafsir, in this particular ayat, three issues were mentioned that make this ummah better than everybody else. At-tawheed, believing in Allah. If you don't believe in Allah, or if your belief in Allah is whacked out and mixed up with all kind of nonsense, then you're not the best ummah. If you don't make an amr ma'ruf and a nahi munkar, then you're not the best ummah. So that's what Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Kathir was mentioning, that is the responsibility of every individual from this ummah to take it upon himself to live up to this obligation of being the best ummah. Every man, every woman, the elder, the people who are younger, based upon your ability. Now, to prove this point that ad-da'wah Allah is from the awjab al-wajibat, from the most wajib issues concerning us, are a few issues, and there are many. One of them, and at the top of the list, is an ayat that Allah Ta'ala mentioned to the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam when it was revealed, giving us some information about a very important issue in al-Islam. He said in the Qur'an, وَإِذْ أَخَذَ اللَّهُ مِيثَاقَ النَّبِيِّينَ لَمَا آتَيْتُكُم مِّن كِتَابٍ وَحِكْمَةٍ ثُمَّ جَاءَكُمْ رَسُولٌ مُصَدِّقٌ لِمَا مَعَكُمْ لَتُؤْمِنُونَ بِهِ وَلَتَنصَرُنَّهُ. And remember, Ummah al-Islam, the Quran is bringing our attention to this. And remember, you weren't there, but know about this issue. Remember when Allah took a covenant from every single prophet, from Adam to Isa ibn Maryam, salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhim ajma'in. Allah took a mithaq, an aqd, and a contract. And that contract was, each and every prophet, Allah said to him, when the messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam comes with that which confirms what you already have, at-tawheed, as-salat, az-zakat, som, al-hajj, umrah, al-iman billahi wa malaikatihi wa kutubihi, all of those things that you're calling to. When he comes and you're on the scene, then you have to believe in him and you have to help him. That was the responsibility of the prophets and the messengers, that each and every one of them was waiting. If Rasulullah came at that time, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they were ready to take a back step, allow him to get in front, and they had to have iman, as we have, inshallah. And not only that, I believe in Muhammad and that's it, but you have to help him. How do you help him? By giving dawah to his religion. By giving dawah to his religion. The ayat of the Quran, in tansurullah yansurkum wa yuthabbit aqdamakum. If you people help Allah, Allah will help you and he will establish your feet firmly. How are we going to help Allah? Help Allah to make it rain? Help Allah to keep the earth rotating around the sun? Kalla wallahi. Allah is not in need of our help. That's a language so that we can understand. If you help Allah means if you relay his religion, defend his religion, practice his religion, share his religion. You took that responsibility. He'll help you establish your feet firmly, give you dominance in the earth, give you protection, as we're going to mention at the end of this talk, inshallah. So the shahid of that kalam is, Allah took a covenant from the prophets and the messengers, salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhim ajma'een, that they had to have iman and they had to give an-nasr. They had to help him. They had to give dawah to his religion and spread his religion. So, min bab al-awla, that means Those people who believe in him and follow him, that's part of the obligation. There is a contract between you and Allah, between us and Allah, to relay this religion to our children, to relay this religion to our relatives, to non-Muslims, to whoever you have the ability to do so. That's one proof showing everybody has to give dawah and the importance of a dawah. And that is from the ujab al-wajibat. Not a joke, it's not easy, something people need to be reminded of, something that needs to be considered. Sitting back on the sideline, not doing anything, is a foreign concept in Islam. Another proof of its importance, and why I said it's from the ujab al-wajibat that we need to consider. Those of you who are engaged in dawah in some shape, form, or fashion, someone is giving dawah by passing out literature. Someone else is giving dawah by going to city center and passing out literature and stopping and communicating with those people. Someone else is giving dawah, and that he's having a one-on-one with his neighbor and so forth and so on. He hears these issues and he becomes more encouraged and more inspired. But it's the one who's sitting in the audience who feels, I don't have any role to play, I'm not responsible for anything, I'm not giving dawah, I'm not a da'i. It's for him to open up his mind and realize, no, akhi, no, sister, young people here, you're giving dawah to Allah. 15-year-old kid, 13-year-old kid in school, in the madrasa, he's giving dawah to Allah. He's showing the teacher, my mother, my father, they're not paying attention to me because I always come unprepared. My mother, my father, they are laxed as it relates to my education because the level that I am right now, I have the ability intellectually to do better, but they clearly are not on my case, making me excel and do more and reaching my full potential. He's giving dawah to Allah in the way that he behaves and so forth and so on. Second point is the fact that Allah Ta'ala mentioned in the Qur'an another issue about the jinn. In the beginning of Surah Al-Ahqaf, or the middle of Surah Al-Ahqaf, the heights, Allah Ta'ala mentioned, وَإِذْ صَرَفْنَا إِلَيْكَ نَفَرًا مِنَ الْجِنِّ يَسْتَمِعُونَ الْقُرْآنَ فَلَمَّا حَضَرُوهُ قَالُوا أَنْصِتُوا فَلَمَّا قُضِيَ وَلَّوْا إِلَى قَوْمِهِمْ مُنذِرِينَ قالوا يا قومنا إنا سمعنا كتابا أنزل من بعد موسى مصدق لما بين يديه يهدي إلى الحق وإلى طريق مستقيم يا قومنا أجيبوا داعي الله وآمنوا به يغفر لكم من ذنوبكم ويجركم من عذاب أليم. Tremendous ayat and incident. And remember, Bani Adam, Ya ayyuhan nas, remember when we sent a group of the jinn to listen to the recitation of the Qur'an. The Prophet was reading, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they came. The ayah said, when they all came and joined in the assembly and they sat around, they said amongst themselves, hey, be quiet. Respect this kalam. And they were kuffar. Be quiet and listen. So they sat there and they listened to the Qur'an. The Prophet didn't tell them about, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Tawheed al-Uluhiyyah al-Rububiyyah. He didn't tell them about that. 3 aqsam of Tawheed. Just read the Qur'an. Khairul kalam, kalam Allah. They said, be quiet. When the recitation was finished, they got up and the ayah said, they went to their people as warners. They went to their people immediately, giving dawah to Allah. When they went to their people, they said to the other jinn, Ya qawmana, O our people, we heard a book that was revealed after Musa. It confirms what Musa had, and it guides to the tariq that is mustaqim. O our people, listen to and obey the da'i, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and believe in him. If you do that, then Allah will forgive you for your sins, and he will save you from a grievous punishment. There's a tremendous ayat in Islam, in the aqeedah of al-Islam. First, it shows, as I mentioned, the best dawah is I can sit here and tell you about my trip to Ireland and what happened here and there. And sometimes that is beneficial. But for the da'i just to tell stories about he went up and he went down and he flew that way and went out that way and his foot was like that, who has time for that? It has its place, but who's the teacher? And that's your dawah. Gimmicks, stories, games. Also, the ayah shows the best way to give dawah is to know the book of Allah, the stories of the Qur'an and other than that. And it goes to show as well, ikhwani, that when those jinn heard that dawah, immediately they went back to their people and they started giving dawah to Allah. And our aqidah and our belief about the malaik and the jinn. The jinn are created from a smokeless fire, and they have the ability to disobey Allah, and from them are Muslims and non-Muslims. Everything that human beings have, the jinn have the same thing. We have communists, the jinn have communists. We have whatever you can think of with human beings, they have that same thing, as it is established in Surah Al-Jinn. But the point here is, they went back to the jinn and they gave dawah to their creation, their people. So the scholars of Islam said, the jinns give dawah to the jinns, but the jinns don't give dawah to human beings. So if there's a raqi who's doing ruqya, or an individual who's using the jinn to help him with things, he has transgressed the limits. Anybody who's doing ruqya and he's dealing with the jinn, he has transgressed the limits, and that's not permissible. But the jinn, they give dawah to the jinn only. Whereas the human beings, like the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he gave dawah to the human beings and he gave dawah to the jinn. So this ayat establishes what? The prophets and the messengers, they took a covenant with Allah Azza wa Jal, give dawah to his religion, and all of the jinn. And the jinn heard that kalam, and it was their responsibility to go back to their people to relay the message. So with that being the case, it's a clear indication in our religion that everyone should understand you have to give dawah to Allah. Now for the person who still insists, I'm not going to give dawah, it's not my responsibility, then there are a number of threats in the Qur'an for the person who doesn't take responsibility for this. Threats, elaborations, like what Allah mentioned in Surah At-Tawbah, إِلَّا تَنْصُرُوهُ فَقَدْ نَصَرَهُ اللَّهُ إِذْ أَخْرَجَهُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا ثَانِيَ اثْنَيْنِ إِذْ هُمَا فِي الْغَارِ إِذْ قَالَ لِصَاحِبِهِ لَا تَحْزَنْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَنَا. If you people choose not to help him how? By giving dawah to his religion, protecting him, defending him. If you people choose not to give dawah to his religion, then you should know that Allah helped him and assisted him on the day when the disbelievers kicked him out of Mecca, expelled him from Mecca. And he was one of two in the cave. And he said to his companion, don't be afraid, Allah is with us. So the ayat here is saying, if you don't help, if you don't want to give dawah, Allah is going to help him anyway. Here we are Muslims right now. Nobody was there from amongst us when the Prophet was expelled from Mecca, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and yet Islam hit us. Another ayat, similar to that ayat, that Allah threatened the people. مَنْ يَرْتَدَّ مِنْكُمْ مِنْ دِينِهِ فَسَوْفَ يَأْتِي اللَّهُ بِقَوْمٍ يُحِبُّهُمْ وَيُحِبُّونَهُ. If you people don't want to take this religion and its responsibility and its weightiness, then Allah will bring a group of people who will do that, and He'll replace you with them people. He'll love them and they'll love Him, and so forth and so on. So the point is, it's a great responsibility. Now moving forward, the prophets and the messengers had to give dawah to the prophet's religion, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The jinn, they have to give dawah. Those are clear, indirect proofs that everyone has to give dawah. There are direct proofs as well to show that this is an obligation. Like the statement of Allah, قُلْ هَذِهِ السَّبِيلِ أَدْعُوا اللَّهِ عَلَى بَصِيرَةٍ أَنَا وَمِنِ اتَّبَعَنِي. Tell them, Ya Muhammad, this is my religion. I call to Allah, I give dawah to Allah with clarity. Me and those people who are with me. That's a clear ayah. So if a person is claiming with his lisan, I'm with Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I love Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then part of that responsibility is not being afraid, not being faint-hearted, not being lax, not being lazy about giving dawah to his sunnah and his religion, despite the waves of mu'arid, those things that are against you. Keeping in mind that Allah doesn't burden a person beyond his ability. You're not responsible and you can't be on every ship that leaves the dock, but whatever ship you are on, there is going to be opposition to you. So if you claim that you believe in him, you have to deal with that opposition. And in this Qur'an, you're never going to find anyone in this Qur'an, any human being, that Allah praised, man or woman, except that they were put to trials and tribulations. There's no one in this Qur'an, an individual personality, who was praised Just like that. All there was just praise about him. That's it. Praise about her. Everybody who was praising his book was put to trials and tribulations. Sunnatullahi fil ladhina khalu min qabl walan tajidu li sunnatillahi tabdila. That's the sunnah of Allah. So if an individual was claiming, I love the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there's opposition. And sometimes, unfortunately, that opposition begins right at home. The guy is not practicing. He's getting high. He's hanging out, going to the party. She doesn't practice. No hijab. Soon as they start practicing, that's when the family gives them problems. I mean, this is something common. He has family members who are on something other than the correct understanding of Islam. When he tries to deal with that issue, he is taken as an enemy. But anyway, that ayat clearly tells us we're responsible for a dawah Allah. And that was the sunnah of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that everyone doesn't have the ability. People here sitting on chairs. People here, they're responsible for people that it's not sensible for them to leave them, to destroy them because they left. So in the meantime, in between time, there has to be people who are there giving them dawah. Plus, the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, from his sunnah, he sent Mu'adh ibn Jabal to Yemen. Told him, you're going to go to the Christians and the Jews. Call them to La ilaha illallah. After he sent Mu'adh, he sent Abu Musa al-Ash'ari after him, a scholar. One scholar, then another scholar. After that, he sent Ali ibn Abi Talib, 3 people to the same group of people. When he was sending Ali ibn Abi Talib to Yemen, he told Ali, if Allah guides one person by you, by your hands, it's better for you than the red camel. So all of that is a sign and indication that the sunnah was sending people out to give dawah to Allah. Which people? Which people? People who knew what they were doing. People who knew the religion. Not someone like me when I first became a Muslim, and just bear with me with this story because I think it's some benefit. I became a Muslim. I didn't even have a month under my belt. I met some of my brothers in Islam and they told me just to get up and start talking to the people. I said, I don't know anything. What I'm going to talk to them about? They said, you get inspiration. Yeah, that's not our deen, inspiration like that. You got to know what you're talking about, who you're talking to, what's the message. And we'll come to that, inshallah, azza wa jal. In addition to that, ikhwani, there are a few ayat, and I'll end this dealing with these ayat, inshallah, in my last 15-20 minutes. These ayat in Surah Ali Imran, starting with at ayat number 104, and it's 4 ayat. And it gives us a lot of information about the fiqh of dawah, and the importance of a dawah, and the role that everybody plays, what we're calling to, and how do we call. Is this religion based upon confusion? And there are the statements of Allah where He said, وَلْتَكُمْ مِنْكُمْ أُمَّةٌ يَدْعُونَ إِلَى الْخَيْرِ تَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَتَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ وَيُؤْمِنُونَ بِاللَّهِ. There's a thing in Arabic language called the lam al-amr. وَلْتَكُمْ مِنْكُمْ وَالْلَام al-amr. It's the lam that is a command. Allah said, let there be a group from you people who are giving dawah, calling to al-khair, ordering the good, preventing the evil, and believing in Allah. That's the first ayah. Very quickly, what is the meaning of let there be a group of people from you who are calling to al-khair? It shows you have to give dawah, and al-khair in this ayah means calling to Allah. Calling to a tawheed. Now I need you brothers here at Bradford, IslamBradford, please pay attention to this. This is something that Muslims suffer from in Birmingham, in London, everywhere we go. Let there be a group from amongst you calling to al-khair. Our dawah has to be to Allah. Our dawah shouldn't be to this institution, IslamBradford, Green Lane Masjid. Some people's their dawah is to the sheikh. Me, it's to me. If I say to you, I don't like that man, he's an innovator, don't talk to him. And then this brother says to me, Sheikh, I'm not taking that. Or he says to someone who likes me, I'm not taking what your sheikh said. When I hear he doesn't like me, I'll say don't talk to him, don't listen to him, because the dawah is to me, it's for me. There are people who say, I own a bookstore, for an example. Don't buy his book, don't go to his masjid, don't listen to him. Why? Because do it in my bookstore. Come to my masjid. Give me your money. The dawah shouldn't be to the madhab. If a person makes a position about or against the madhab, a truthful position, Al-Imam Malik, he did not pray 60 years with the same wudu. 60 years without passing when? Akramakumullah. That's not difficult to comprehend, that's khurafat. But because he's from the Maliki madhab, the man will go and make a khutbah against that statement because his dawah is to the Maliki madhab. So the dawah has to be to Allah. Today it's a problem. Ikhwani, I tell you, I've been in this dawah since quite some time now. I think one of the biggest challenges and problems with the masajid and the dawah, one of the biggest problems is the politics that go on between the people. Once you start working with a community and an organization, all you want to do is, you're a new Muslim, you want to give dawah, that's all you want to do. But as soon as you start meeting the people, you start realizing the politics that go on. And it stinks. It stinks in Ireland. The community that I told you about, they are all by themselves. But there are surrounding communities in Dublin, bigger place. And right now, they're like infants. And they don't have too many problems. Really nice community. They don't have a lot of knowledge. All they need is a good teacher, but they have good people, mashallah. But when they reach out for help, this is when the problems start. So let the dawah be to Allah Azza wa Jalla. Here in Islam Bradford, there's nothing wrong with asking people, help us. We need help financially. Support us. Come and listen to us for the Jummah, because we're going to give a khutbah in English. Our shabab can comprehend. We're offering this that other people are not offering. That's not giving dawah to your organization. That's giving dawah to khair. No problem with that. But what I'm talking about is the politics. And they stink. I see two people in this audience right now. My man, the sensei, Shafiq, my main man, and as well as Brother Javit. Two people involved with dawah. They'll be the first to tell you the politics are a problem. So let the dawah be to Allah. As Allah said, وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ قَوْلٍ مِمَّنْ دَعَا Allah, who is better than the one, who is better in speech than the one who calls to Allah. Not to his sheikh, not to his madhab, not to his masjid, not to his culture, not to his group, his color. Allah mentioned, "Ud'u ila sabili rabbika bil hikmah," call to the way of your Lord, not to the way of your father, not to the way of Al-Imam Malik. Call to the way of your Lord. Call to his religion, to Allah's religion. This is my way. I call to Allah. So many ayat, so many ahadith. So that ayat, وَلْتَكُنْ مِنْكُمْ أُمَّةٌ يَدْعُونَ إِلَى الْخَيْرِ, let there be from amongst you a group of people calling to al-khair. Al-khair, calling the people to tawheed. And the people who are against tawheed from our Muslim brothers, who for whatever reason, ignorance, where they come from, so many dynamics and nuances that are going on, we have to call them in a way that is gentle, in a way that is right, but without apologizing. Without apologizing. Let us call to this religion without apologizing. Because if the goal and the objective of the organization is to win support and to suppress the truth and compromise the truth for the support, you're in trouble. You're not calling to the way of Allah. And if all of the people came and they liked you, Allah is going to be angry with you. Allah is going to be angry with you. So call to the truth, at-tawheed, al-Islam, ibadatullah, and the other good things of al-Islam. And then the second ayat, tremendous ayat. وَلَا تَكُونُوا كَالَّذِينَ تَفَرَّقُوا وَاخْتَلَفُوا مِنْ بَعْدِ مَا جَاءَهُمُ الْبَيِّنَاتِ. And don't be from those people who split up and who had ikhtilaf after the haqq came to them. This is what happened to Bani Israel. And it happened for many reasons. One of the main reasons is love of the dunya. Who's going to get the most money? Who has the most money? Who has the most followers? So the Prophet told his companions, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, wallahi la akhsha alaykum al-faqr, walakinni akhsha alaykum an tuftah aw tubsat alaykum ad-dunya kama busitat ala man kana qablukum fatanafasunaha kama tanafasuha wa tuhlikukum kama ahlakathum. Listen to what he told us. He said, wallahi, I'm not afraid that any of you will be impoverished. There's someone from amongst us, he's like me, He only has $300 in the bank. $300, not pounds. That's all. He's poor. He's like me. He doesn't have a lot of money. He said, I'm not afraid of that for you, that you don't have a lot of money. He said, what I'm afraid for you is that the dunya will open up for you and you'll get a lot of money and you'll acquire a lot of money. And then as a result of that, you race after that dunya. Like the ones who went before you, Bani Israel, they raced after the dunya. And it will destroy you the way it destroyed them. This ayat is talking about that as well. They divided themselves and they split up. Over what? Over the dunya, over power, over unnecessary things. So no doubt, ikhwani, ikhtilaf and having ikhtilaf is something that's normal. It's normal. وَلَا يَزَالُونَ مُخْتَلِفِينَ إِلَّا مَنْ رَحِمَ رَبُّكَ. They will not cease to have ikhtilaf except those who Allah had rahmah for. And then the ayah said, مِنْ أَجْلِ ذَلِكَ خُلِقَ. For that reason Allah created them to have ikhtilaf. If we travel from here to Mecca, all of us, one group, and we have an Amir, Mas'ud is our Amir. When we go to Mecca, someone in the audience is going to say, hey, I don't want Labbaik, I want KFC. Someone else is going to say, hey, I don't want to stop here, I want to stop there. Someone else is going to say, hey, we arrived, let's go straight to make Umrah. They tell us, no, if you know Umrah, everybody go to the ikhtilaf is normal. When you read this Qur'an, Sirat al-Mustaqim, Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim. Some scholars say Sirat al-Mustaqim is Tawheed. Some say Sirat al-Mustaqim is Islam. Sirat al-Mustaqim is the middle path. Sirat al-Mustaqim is the way of Abu Bakr and Umar. Everybody had an opinion. And those opinions about Sirat al-Mustaqim, they don't conflict. There's harmony. Sometimes there's a big conflict and the text is the same and everyone was sincere. Problem is the ikhtilaf that comes as a result of you don't see it my way, and that's a problem. This is a problem. And this is what we find with the people. So our religion, before I move on to the next ayat, inshallah, and I hope you go away with this message. This is one of the most important messages I want to depart here. One of the most important lessons in Islam, one of the most important principles in Islam is the unity of the Muslims. It is amazing. It is absolutely, it's tragic, it's disturbing that Abu Usamah can call himself a da'i. I'm giving dawah, and I seek to divide, and I call it the religion. I'm going to say truthfully to you, many of the main groups here in Bradford, you know the big main Muslim groups here. I don't agree with them. And I think you people need to do a lot of work to give dawah to your relatives in these masajid. Easy. Take it easy. But I know some of them, they just don't know. It's culture. They're older people. They just don't know. So before being rough and tough, we have to reach out to them and do our best to educate them. You can't be united with someone who is cursing the companions. It's not going to happen. His boat is going that way, cursing the companions. Your boat is going the other way. There's no way in the world you could say let's be united in the deen, in the religion. It's impossible. Someone's making shirk with Allah. Another person's trying to be on Tawheed. Can't happen. Unity can't happen like that. You're trying to mix batil and the haqq, and that's impossible. But nonetheless, in addressing the issue, there is still room for giving dawah in a nice way. As for the people who are trying to do the same thing, all of them are trying to call to the same thing, the proper understanding of Islam, inshallah, without this shirk, khurafat, and bid'ah. And I, Abu Usamah, use this reason or that reason to be divided. That is a big kabira from the kaba'ir. And that's why we have all those ayahs of the Qur'an. The one that just mentioned here. Don't be of those people who divided themselves and they had ikhtilaf. وَلَا تَكُونُوا مِنَ الْمُشْرِكِينَ مِنَ الَّذِينَ فَرَّقُوا دِينَهُمْ وَكَانُوا شِيَعًا كُلُّ حِزْبٍ بِمَا لَدَيْهِمْ فَرِحُونَ. Don't be from the mushrikeen, ya Abdullah. Don't be from the mushrikeen. Those people who divide their religion into schisms, they divide their religion and each group is happy with it, with what it has. The Muslim is not like that. The Muslim is with the body of the Muslims. And he's patient with what he sees, hears, feels, and smells from his brothers. That's what the Prophet said. Al-mu'min alladhi yukhalitu an-nas wa yasbiru ala adahum khayrun min al-mu'min alladhi la yukhalitu an-nas wa la yasbiru ala adahum. the believer who mixes with the Muslims and he's patient with what annoys him from them, he's better than the believer who doesn't mix with them and he's not patient. You have to be patient with this situation. Ayat upon ayat. The third ayat, ikhwani, very important as well. Allah Ta'ala mentioned in the third ayat, يَوْمَ تَبْيَدُّ وَجُوهٌ وَتَسْوَدُّ الْوُجُوهِ فأما الذين كفروا فأما الذين اسودت وجوههم أكفرتم بالله أكفرتم بعد فأما الذين اسودت وجوههم أكفرتم بعد الإيمان فذوقوا العذاب بما كنتم تكفرون. On that day, يوم القيامة, some faces will be white and some faces will be black. And it doesn't mean black like this. It means black from kufr. Someone can come and take this Qur'an and say, all black people are bad. Look at this ayat in the Qur'an. And that's what Elijah Muhammad used to do. He said all white people are bad because Allah said in the Qur'an he's going to raise up the people of the hellfire. They're going to have blue eyes. So someone who's white, he says, look, white is good, black is bad. It doesn't mean that. And that's why we have to always go back to what the companions said in their tafsir. One of the companions, when they were having a war, a man ran into the enemy and he threw himself all by himself and they killed him. The odds were against him. He knew he wasn't coming back. One of the tabi'een, when he noticed that, he said, oh, Allah said in the Quran, وَلَا تُلْقُوا بِأَيْدِيكُمْ إِلَى التَّهْلُكَةِ, don't destroy yourselves with your own hands. He committed suicide and he read that ayat. He killed himself with his own hands by running in there. Abu Ayyub al-Ansari, the companion, may Allah be pleased with him, he said, بِئْسَ مَا قُلْتُ, you said a bad thing. This ayat was not revealed for that. This ayat was revealed upon us, the Ansar. When the Prophet came to Medina, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we used to give sadaqah fi sabilillah and we used to help him in sacrifice. When Islam started to spread, people stopped giving sadaqah like they did before. So this ayat was revealed telling the companions, don't destroy yourselves with your own hands by not giving sadaqah. So for the month of Ramadan, at the beginning, people are going to say, we need this, we need that. The center needs this, we need money, we need this, we need that. In the first week, we're happy, we give the money. And then after 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we get tired. Then when we hear someone get up to get money, we say, oh, there they go with the money again. Yeah, that's the nature of Ramadan, first of all, that you give more money. And plus, not giving the money is a destruction because you didn't give. But what's the point? Why did I mention that? The ayah goes to show clearly, Ya Ummatul Islam, Ikhwani, the understanding of this Qur'an lies with the companions. Abu Ayyub al-Ansari. That's why we don't just say Qur'an and Sunnah and that's it. We want to take that Qur'an and the Sunnah the way the companions understood that ayat that we just mentioned. This hadith and that issue and so forth and so on. So anyway, Ikhwani fillah, concerning this particular issue, faces are white and faces are black. Abdullah ibn Abbas, the companion of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam radiyallahu anhu, he said the white faces and the black faces. He said the white faces are the faces of Ahl Sunnah, and the black faces are the faces of Ahlul Bid'ah. Al-Imam Muhammad ibn Jarir al-Tabari, who has the best tafsir in the dunya. And if someone asks you, why is that the case? Are you the only one that said that? You the first one to say that? Why do the scholars say that? The scholars say that because his tafsir is a tafsir where there's a chain of narration for every ayat. He says, and he was a muhaddith, and he was a tremendous scholar, had his own madhab. He said, so-and-so told me, that so-and-so told him, that so-and-so told him, that Abu Hurairah said about this ayat, Siratul Mustaqim means the way of Abu Bakr and Umar, for an example. You look at that chain of narration, you can see if the tafsir is correct or not. No other tafsir is like that, from the beginning to the end. So he brought the statement of Abdullah ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him. Faces of the white faces, Ahlul Sunnah, black faces, Ahlul Bid'ah. Goes to show the usage of the word Ahlul Sunnah was way back then, during the time of the companions, way back then. Just like Ahlul Hadith was way back then, just like the usage of the word Salaf way back then, during the time of the tabi'een, way back then. It's not something new. But the real point, and I conclude with this, the real point is, in these ayat, the real point is, our dawah, Islam Bradford, has to be the dawah of Ahl Sunnah. The dawah that you give has to be the dawah of Ahl Sunnah. And I'm not talking about Ahl Sunnah, just rhetoric, just some kalam. Many people are saying Ahl Sunnah, and what we hear from what they're teaching and what they understand is not the dawah of Ahl Sunnah. People who generally have Tawheed, but their dawah is not the dawah of Ahl Sunnah. Then we have another group of people who their dawah is not Tawheed. It's innovation, khurafat, it's ghulu and men and stuff like that. Has no proof of most of what they're saying. It's a problem from what's prevalent here in Bradford. Ahl Sunnah, Ahl Sunnah. We're not talking about empty slogans and rhetoric. We're talking about the real principle and the real way of Ahl Sunnah, the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where things can be proven and understood easily, not difficult, especially in light of the fact that our religion is a religion, our ummah. The Prophet said about this ummah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, ummati umma ummiya la naqra wa la nahsab. Our ummah is an ummah that can't read and write. We're illiterate. We don't read and we don't count. That's not encouraging us not to excel academically. That's telling you the reality of this ummah. It's a mu'jiza that if you were to gather up all of the Muslims in the world, especially where we come from, many people can't read and write. So is it conceivable, is it plausible that Allah will send them a religion that is difficult to understand, to comprehend? No, this religion is easy, that the everyday man has the ability to understand the basics of the religion. Granted, the more knowledge you have, the more intellectual capacity that you have, the further you can go. But my uncle doesn't know much, can't read Surah Al-Fatiha, he doesn't know 5 surahs. This religion is a religion that harmonizes with his condition. He can worship Allah knowing what he was doing, knowing what he is doing. So in concluding, I just like to say, I think in that other center, I was on the platform when they opened it up, and I don't remember what I talked about, but this was the same message. So you guys have a tremendous responsibility and a challenge in front of you, but it's doable and it's workable. The administration has to take it easy, has to relax, and you guys have to support them and support each other. And don't you be the one who brings to the table the characteristics of the munafiqeen. Don't you know right now in the UK, we have a number of issues facing us. We have the media perception and lies that we have to deal with. We have the Islamophobia. Our children alone. Fitting of our children alone. We don't have time for me to be against you and you to be against me, and we're trying to call to the same thing. Serious challenges on the table. The munafiqeen, he's the one who's disruptive. He makes people, he makes the administration, he makes the community preoccupied with that which takes us off of the course. So that it be each and every person's resolve not to bring to the table the characteristics of the munafiqeen.